So, we're gonna have a radical honesty conversation, alright? Because ultimately, I've had a lot of people try to project a lot of shit to me, alright? While simultaneously, when I look back at my past, I don't see where, by my own choices, not ones that, I was coerced into, but my own choices, where I fucked up, alright? So, like, for example, alright, young parent situation got the whole fucking, oh, we're not gonna fucking, we're not gonna be free babysitting, neither with all that shit, alright? Now, imagine your family fucking around so much that you're literally living in the same apartment complex as your kid. Your kid has a guardian, alright? It does not vocalize the factor that it is your kid, alright? But alright? You're going ahead and busting your ass off while literally getting eaten the fuck up by bedbugs, alright? For fucking years on end, alright? We'll have it go ahead and do a rotating split shift between first and third and second and third, alright? So, you're not only helping to financially go ahead and support that child, but also the guardian of that child is getting the resources needed because of the factor that you're working while simultaneously continuing on your education, regardless of the factor that majority of it is online. Alright? So you have no social life. Alright? As far as friends goes, very few. Alright? Ultimately, you end up getting shit about the factor that, when there was no children around, that you'd smoke weed. And it's like, yeah, you know what? When you're being a responsible fucking adult and you don't do shit like, for example, if you got a buzz, you don't get behind the wheel of a car and you don't, go around doing stupid shit. You literally just stay home, enjoy your buzz, and help unwind a little bit because of the factor that you're going to have to then go back to, 18-hour day fucking shifts. Alright? Because quite literally, not only are you doing your job, but also you're having to go ahead and help somebody else who they don't really have the full support of their family because, their families in elderly years go ahead and help watch out for their two kids. Alright? So you're doing that while simultaneously, whenever any of your neighbors end up not having food for their kids, dipping into your own fucking pocket to go ahead and try to look out for them same fucking kids that you got no responsibility for, alright? You got no obligation to, alright? People complaining about the fact that you're not out socializing, that you got no social life, alright? But literally, that whole talk of, oh, we're not gonna fucking babysit for you. You're gonna have to go ahead and take responsibility for the consequences of your actions and everything. Cool. Literally, supported the entire way through. Alright? Never once ended up being asked to go ahead and babysit. And literally, having a chip on their shoulder for the factor of not once ever being asked to go ahead and babysit. Alright? Because of the fact that ultimately they orchestrated a scenario that ended up leading to me ending up in a fucking coma fighting for my life. Alright? While simultaneously getting pissed off that I survived that coma because that meant that life insurance policy wasn't going to pay the fuck out. And they literally just wanted to enrich themselves over your fucking death. Where the fuck do the people that wanted to go ahead and enrich themselves off of my fucking death get the fucking right to act like they're the fucking victim in the situation? And then get pissed off too that I literally have evidence to go ahead and show a paper trail from between 2002 to 2021 showing a $500,000 paper trail of misappropriated funds, which obviously being misappropriated, that's dirty money which needs to get laundered, also not properly getting reported to the IRS, which means tax evasion. But apparently I'm the fucking bad seed because apparently I made bad decisions Or is it because of the fact that ultimately, after the church ended up setting up that whole fucking rape the gay away program, I said, fuck the church, fuck organized religion. Y'all are some of the most snobbish, elitist, fucking hypocritical pricks that there are. Especially when you go ahead and preach about the factor of, don't do crime and shit like that, while simultaneously going ahead and defrauding, especially the elderly members of your fucking congregations. Alright? The amount of stories that you would end up hearing when going ahead and, religious studies, that you hear about different churches going to the deathbed of one of the elderly members of their congregation, seeming like they're wanting to help them bring peace into their final moments and everything. And the conversation's not about that. It's about, have you thought about what's going to end up happening with your belongings when you end up dying? Ultimately, those have a value that could end up going ahead and helping the same congregation that has, fostered a relationship with you for years, to be able to expand on our mission statement. So I point out that the real fucking predators are in the churches, and I'm the fucking bad guy. Get real. Alright? Now, in that situation, no, couldn't end up going ahead and saying that I was a deadbeat because I was right there. And keep in mind, when the rule ended up being said of no interacting and everything, me being there, it was clear, alright, you're only there for financial support, but still stay geographically in a close enough vicinity that should those guardians of my child gone and said, you know what, you've lived up to your responsibilities for a long time, never once missed a child support payment, you quite literally have been there being like, hey, I'm ready to do whatever I can to be able to assist further. This right here, I understand is the least I can do, but I don't want to do the least I can do. I'm here because I'm here. I am here because this is not an abandonment situation. This is an alienation situation. So I'm going to be here in case you change your mind and I could actually have a bigger role. All right. When I say bigger role, not one of those, I want to use this as an opportunity to go ahead and try to push my narrative, to go ahead and, get the story to go ahead and change it my way. I don't give a fuck who I'm the villain in their story or not. They can fucking blow me. All right. Ultimately, I don't need the validation of other people to feel secure with myself. The factor that I've actually lived up to my obligations every step of the way, even if I ended up losing out on many of opportunities to be able to enjoy doing things that I'd like to do on my own. That was the price to pay for the situation as it lay. Didn't run from it. Stood on all my decisions. And ultimately in that one, I don't consider that decision a mistake because ultimately that would end up saying that fucking kid was a mistake. No, that kid was just a circumstance of a really fucked up scenario that ultimately I didn't want to end up seeing them having to go ahead and end up dealing with the situation that I had to deal with of the fucking group homes and the fucking respite, constantly getting pawned off on somebody else because the family that you were supposed to be a part of, the family unit that you were supposed to be a solid member of, did not fucking want you. They didn't have to experience that feeling unwanted situation. I was right there. Alright? So now, after they end up hitting the point where, because, didn't get sent away to fucking military school or anything or a boarding school. Quite literally old enough to go ahead and, look for college, find their own housing, all that and everything. Fly the nest. Then I'm going to be treated like a failure to launch situation, getting sent to go ahead and take care of the fucking geriatrics that orchestrated this whole situation in the first place. that still don't want to take accountability for the part that they ended up playing. You know, like, for example, me ending up getting racially profiled and wrongfully incarcerated for the fucking crimes that the very person that wanted to put me through the Rape the Gateway program actually ended up committing. And then they end up being pissed off about the fact that I have the evidence. You're mad at all the wrong fucking things. All the wrong fucking things. And it sounds like in this situation that I'm the only one actually being like, yeah, no, I take accountability that I'm a fucking prick. I accept that. That ain't gonna change. But you know what? At least I've been an ambitious and driven prick. And ultimately, the motivation, that goal that I've had is to be able to make sure that I could take care of the people that, you know, I'm obligated to take care of. Well, simultaneously, too, people being upset that my load has been lightened quite a bit because, you know, I fucking saw it through every step of the way, you know, my obligations and responsibilities. Or are you mad about the fact that you can't go with that deadbeat narrative because, you know, I didn't fucking run away from my responsibilities? And ultimately, character-wise, you assume that just because of the fact that I like having tattoos, I miss my fucking piercings. I'm thinking of putting them back in. What, just because of the fact that look-wise, I don't end up following the same fucking look that you ended up believing that, oh, if you go ahead and look like that, clearly you have to be a degenerate because otherwise, why would you want to look like a fucking degenerate? Maybe I'm fucking comfortable with, you know, the whole, my body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. Maybe I wanted to make mine a fucking mausoleum, like, make mine, you know, 16th chapel. You ever think of that? But because of the fact that you want to be fucking snobbish and it's like, hey, guess what? I'm not the one going ahead and judging if you're a good person or not based on, you know, somebody else's religion. Because, you know, ultimately when you try to judge me by Christian standards, yeah, I've long since not been a fucking Christian because I've gotten to see the predatory way that the churches end up going ahead and preying on the most vulnerable of their fucking congregations. I've quite literally been used for fucking child slave labor by one of the same very institutions that you want me to go ahead and fucking devote myself to? Get fucking real. So, in this situation, I'm not hearing where I'm the bad guy in this. Because you know what? I've never once... Alright, you know what? Let's go ahead and put a finger down. Put a finger down if you've ever gone and used somebody, you know, a child and everything, for manual labor. Put a finger down if you ever used a child to manipulate another adult in an attempt to go defraud them. Put a finger down if you've ever endangered a child by going ahead and not being willing to go ahead and recognize where your own potential, you know, addictions are or vices, and you are willing to go ahead and put them in jeopardy by thinking, oh, you know what, it doesn't matter if I have a few sips of a beer or something before I get behind the wheel with my kid in the back seat. You know, as long as I don't catch a buzz and everything. You know, the blood alcohol point is 0.08, you know, for that breathalyzer. So as long as I'm under that, I'm good. Never fucking done that. Which, by the way, ultimately, even one sip of beer would end up being enough to go ahead and be like, yeah, no, the rest of the night, them keys staying on top of the fridge, and, you know, we're staying in. Hungry or something like that, got the munchies because of getting a buzz or something like that, delivery. There's delivery. Point that I'm making on this. I have been portrayed to be irresponsible and reckless in every way, shape, or form. Alright? While simultaneously, my intelligence getting fucking minimized on a constant basis. Because every step of the way, I've sat back and had somebody go and attempt to sabotage me while trying to deflect and project, trying to be like, oh no, you self-sabotaged. You know, fear of fucking success. Fear of fucking success? then why the fuck did I end up putting years worth of work in? Fucking decades worth, even in some cases, to be able to perfect certain crafts of mine that I could go ahead and be like, this right here, being able to finally give a tangible demonstration at any given second. So that way, if anyone questions, can you really do that? Yeah, I could really fucking do that. And guess what? I could do that in front of a Nobel fucking panel. So now tell me, where have I fucked up? What did I fuck up by, having to go ahead and financially, any, enrichment that I've ended up getting throughout the years, having to go ahead and use that to make sure responsibilities and bills got paid off first, not being able to get to enjoy anything for myself, and now being at a point where I am going to be selfish, and I am going to get myself what the fuck I want because of the fact that for years I didn't get to fucking do that. Because, I made sure my responsibilities were taken care of first, never laid on a fucking bill. All right. Never once did I end up having to go ahead and worry about an eviction for any other circumstance than fucking fictitious complaints from the neighbors to law enforcement. Which, keep in mind, in those circumstances, law enforcement have even let those people know you are lucky that we're not charging you for falsifying statements. So I was never the bad guy that I was painted out to be, be anything. Quite literally, my, free time, that went towards going and finishing my schooling online. Double major between criminal justice and psychology. All right, wanted to actually be a disability advocate, helping people from the disability community, being able to avoid predatory, evictions. Not have to lose their housing that it literally ends up going ahead and providing them a shelter to be able to make sure that their medical needs are being able to be attended to. All right, for me, I think my cause is pretty fucking noble. All right. Now, the way that I end up handling it when I end up helping to track down fugitives by going ahead and following their digital fucking trail, so that way they don't end up evading the law. Which, keep in mind, the ones that I do that with, they are people that prey on vulnerable populations, whether it be the elderly or whether it be the disabled. If you're going to go ahead and steal from somebody who is already at a major disadvantage because of not being able to have the earning potential that an able-bodied individual is able to, I'm going to have no mercy for you. I'm going to make sure that the ridicule is as merciless as fucking possible. I want to be able to go ahead and tickle whatever little bit of that fucking conscience still exists. If there is any that still exist. If there's none that still exist, then guess what? I don't feel bad for what the fuck you're in for when you end up getting them silver bracelets getting thrown the fuck on you. Alright? You earned every little bit you got coming to you. And ultimately, if that sadistic fucking little pleasure that I end up getting from that ends up being one of the cornerstones of joy that I get in my life, so be it, because I'm tired of seeing people get stepped on just because of them being at a disadvantage, whether it be because of a physical disability, whether it be because of an invisible disability, whatever the certain case is, whether it ends up being because of them being elderly, but, losing cognitive function, whatever the case may be. At least I know which side of history I'm on. Even if people have wanted to go ahead and try to drag my name through the mud again and again, trying to put into question in other people's mind which side of history that I'm on. All right. I have quite literally said to some of the most predatory of fucking institutions and organizations and even fucking gangs. All right. Fuck you. Understand, if you're doing something to be able to contribute to the greater good and to your local community, and actually going ahead and recognizing that sometimes the ends may justify the means when it comes to that cruelty. Follow the campsite rule. Leave your community better than you found it. If you can't fucking do that, and you're going to be a contributor to the, just erosion of the quality of life of the people in your local community, because the only thing that you're worried about is your selfish desires, then understand something. I am going to make sure that when you close your fucking eyes at night, my face is seared right into your fucking subconscious. Understand, it's not going to be me living in your head rent free. It is going to be a hostile fucking takeover of your entire psyche. So go ahead, say whatever the fuck you want to. Ultimately, anybody that wants to know what I'm actually about, you got this fucking video. If you need to go ahead and try to get me to try to repeat myself, you got something to be able to refer to. If you don't want to go ahead and watch it, because, 20 minutes of your time is apparently not worth sacrificing to be able to, not end up having to spend days to weeks to months to even potentially years on this constant fucking crusade of self-righteous indignation, then, you know what? You're a lost fucking cause. So why the fuck am I going to waste my breath on you? Instead, I'm going to use that breath doing what the fuck I enjoy. And making money at doing it too.